The story begins with a man walking while carrying two suitcases, one in his left hand containing anti-explosive equipment, and the other in his right, holding a portable time machine. He is a time-traveling agent on a mission to prevent a bomb explosion. Upon arriving at the machine room, his target location, he is suddenly confronted by a mysterious man. A brief shootout occurs between them, but the agent manages to drive the man away. He activates his equipment, but he is too late to stop the explosion. The blast leaves his face severely burned. Moments later, the mysterious man reappears, not to attack, but to push the agent's time machine closer, helping him return to his original timeline. A few days after his return, the agent is still recovering when two organization officials visit him. They commend his sacrifice by awarding him a medal and assigning him one final mission before his retirement. His task: to track down a sociopath and terrorist known as Pixel Bomber, infamous for using bombs in his crimes. In 1975, Pixel Bomber's deadliest act resulted in the deaths of 10,000 people in New York City. The agent's objective is to travel back to that year, locate Pixel Bomber, and stop the tragedy. Before the mission, the agent undergoes major surgery to treat his burns, though it changes his face entirely. The doctors also warn him about the side effects of frequent time travel: cellular mutations, nerve disorders, memory loss, depression, hormonal imbalances, and more. Despite this, the agent agrees to proceed. Once healed, he receives his tools, a firearm, a watch, and his portable time machine, and embarks on his dangerous mission. Now the agent finds himself on November 6, 1970, undercover as a bartender to gather information about Pixel Bomber from patrons. However, instead of quickly uncovering leads, he meets a man named John, a writer whose book the agent had recently read. After a long conversation, John unexpectedly reveals a startling truth about his past. He was once a woman. Yes, John was born a biological female and transitioned into the man he is today, a story he shares openly with the agent. John begins recounting his difficult past. Abandoned by his parents as a baby, he was left at an orphanage with no explanation as to why. What stood out about John, then called Jen, was that he never fell ill, unlike the other children. This unusual resilience made him different. Since the orphanage staff didn't know his real name, they named him Jen. As Jen grew older, his extraordinary traits became more apparent. He was the smartest in school, the strongest, even outmatching the boys, and excelled in everything he did. However, while the other children were adopted, Jen remained the only one left from his cohort, likely due to his intimidating nature. One day, Jen's life changed when a mysterious man named Mr. Robertson visited the orphanage. Representing a secret government organization, Robertson was impressed by Jen's intelligence and resilience and decided to adopt him, not as a child, but as a recruit. Jen was trained both physically and mentally for what he was told would be a mission to become an astronaut and explore space. Jen exceeded all expectations, scoring top marks in every subject and task. However, his temper became his downfall. After severely injuring another candidate who mocked him, Jen was expelled from the program. Despite this, Mr. Robertson promised to speak with the higher-ups to reinstate him.
I'll do everything to get you re-enlisted.
I had to support myself. I couldn't rely on Mr. Robertson's promise to see me through.
After being expelled from the organization, Jen struggled to make ends meet by working as a housekeeper, caregiver, or taking on any job she could find. Realizing the importance of education, she enrolled in a university and attended night classes. By chance, she met a man there, handsome, wealthy, and charming. though for some reason his face was always difficult to recall. Their relationship blossomed, and Jen and the man started dating. They even shared moments of intimacy a few times. One night, as they were sitting together in a park, the man suddenly excused himself, saying he needed to step away for a moment. But he never returned. He vanished without explanation, leaving Jen heartbroken. Shortly after this mysterious disappearance, Mr. Robertson reappeared, offering to recruit Jen back into the organization. This time, he revealed the truth. The organization wasn't focused on space exploration, but on something much greater: time travel. Jen, with no close family ties and exceptional intelligence and resilience, was deemed a perfect candidate. However, just as Jen felt hope for a new beginning, she discovered she was pregnant from her relationship with the mysterious man. This unexpected revelation led Mr. Robertson to cancel her recruitment. Months later, after giving birth, Jen received shocking news from the doctor, not about her baby, but about herself. The doctor revealed that Jen had been born with both male and female genitalia. Due to complications with her uterus, the doctors had to remove her female reproductive organs. From that day on, Jen was biologically a man. But her misfortunes didn't end there. Her newborn baby, still in the hospital, was suddenly kidnapped by an unknown person. Devastated by the series of tragedies, Jen resolved to fully embrace her identity as a man. She worked at a restaurant, living as a man, and eventually decided to become a writer, adopting the name John, the person the agent now knows.
The manuscript was for real-life tales, and a total in 4 months I typed 6 letters in one manuscript, in magazines, and studied them.
After John finished recounting his tragic past, the agent revealed his identity as a time-traveling agent under Mr. Robertson. Recognizing John's, formerly Jen's, potential, the agent invited him to see his time machine. They traveled back to 1963 when John was still living as Jen, a university student. The agent's plan was to help John confront his mysterious lover, who first appeared at the university, in exchange for John's assistance in capturing Pixel Bomber afterward. Dressed in mafia-style clothing, John returned to the university to wait for his mysterious lover. Instead of finding him, John encountered someone else, his younger self, Jen. The shocking truth: the lover John had been searching for was none other than himself. This revelation left both John and the agent stunned. Realizing the chaos caused by his plan, the agent fled, leaving John behind. Determined to complete his mission, the agent refocused on capturing Pixel Bomber. The agent confronted Pixel Bomber in the same machine room from the opening scene. A shootout and physical fight ensued, but the agent was overpowered and knocked unconscious. When he woke up, Pixel Bomber was gone, and he realized his face had been burned, just like in the opening scene. The agent then realized the person who had saved him earlier by moving the time machine was himself. Though Pixel Bomber escaped, the agent saved his life and traveled to 1964, a year after John's relationship with Jen produced a baby. Meeting Mr. Robertson, the agent was ordered to eliminate the baby to preserve the timeline. Unable to do so, he traveled to 1945, leaving the baby anonymously at an orphanage. The shocking twist: John, Jen, and the baby were the same person, mother, father, and child, in a paradoxical loop. Afterward, the agent returned to 1963 to retrieve John. That night, Jen's mysterious lover left, not to abandon her, but to return to his timeline. The agent took John to the organization and introduced him to Mr. Robertson as his successor. With his mission complete, the agent retired to 1975 to live out the rest of his life, free from the complexities of time travel. After enjoying his retirement, the agent found himself still curious about Pixel Bomber, who was living in that time. After several months of independent investigation, the agent unexpectedly discovered Pixel Bomber's location and rushed to confront him. To his shock, and ours as viewers, the Pixel Bomber he had been searching for was none other than the agent himself, an older version of him. It was revealed that Pixel Bomber's bombings were done to save thousands of lives in the future. Many of those he had targeted were criminals who would commit horrific crimes, causing more loss of life. Although Pixel Bomber acknowledged that some innocent lives were lost in his actions, he justified it as a sacrifice, believing the lives saved in the future outweighed the innocent victims. Technically, Pixel Bomber was the agent from the future, but when the agent heard that Pixel Bomber had killed Mr. Robertson and all the staff at the organization, he became furious and could not forgive the actions, even though it was his future self. The agent killed Pixel Bomber, not realizing that his decision had further locked the timeline in an endless loop. And here comes the real twist. As warned by the doctor in the organization about the side effects of time travel, one of which was memory loss, it turns out the agent was actually John, Jen, the baby, and Pixel Bomber all along. Due to memory issues, the agent couldn't remember his own past, including his former face. In fact, the agent's current appearance was the result of surgery after the burn incident in the machine room. All the conflicts throughout the story were caused by the agent himself. In fact, 90% of the characters we have seen throughout the duration of the story were the same person. And there remains one big question. Who is Mr. Robertson? Could he be the same person? Or is there an even greater secret behind him?
I miss you dreadfully.